Hi guys, my name is Amber. I'm coming on here today because I want to talk to you about something that happened to me recently with fasting. Just a little bit of background information on me. I have a muscle disorder called polymyositis. I've been dealing with this. I was diagnosed with this in 2008. Is inflammation of the muscles. So your muscles over time become more and more inflamed, and then they eventually begin to break down. This is what the allopathic definition of it is. But for myself, I don't really subscribe to the idea of different diseases, and to me, it's all the same. It's all one disease. So, as far as I'm concerned, I just have a body that is full of toxins, um, to the point that it's literally started eating itself. So, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because I think I'm going to make a separate video on my whole story. But basically, I did the allopathic method of treatment for about 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I got, a little far with that. I was able to learn to walk again, and I got a little bit stronger, but it really didn't do a whole lot for me. So somewhere around 2011, I began getting into raw foods and natural healing. It started actually on YouTube. I started watching Dan, the Life Regenerator, his videos. And he was the first one to even introduce the whole idea to me and really inspired me to start juicing and to, start eating a raw vegan diet. And it was very good for me. I was able to get completely out of my wheelchair and walk again, and kept me off of medication for a long time. Within that time frame, I fasted as well as eating a raw vegan diet. And, when I say fasted, I mean often, like twice, sometimes 3 times a year. I would fast for about 15 to 21 days. I've done every type of fast out there, water fasting, juice fasting, the master cleanse I've done so many times. That was actually my favorite before. And for different lengths, some would be a week, some 15 days, some 21 days. And I loved it. I got great results from fasting. It would clear up, whatever it was that I was trying to heal at the time. And I never gained back any of the weight that I lost when fasting. I considered myself somewhat of an expert of fasting, so I say all of that to say that it's not like I just woke up one day and decided that I wanted to fast. I actually have like years of experience with this, and I thought that, I felt confident enough to do it, extended one on my own, unsupervised. Okay. So about 2 years ago, I made the transition from a regular raw vegan diet into a fruitarian diet, or the 80-10-10 diet, which, in itself is amazing. I prefer fruit so much more over vegetables now. And I've gotten even better results with that. I had an accident in 2012 where I was walking off of a bus and, broke off my foot, and then that just kind of like spiraled my health, worse and worse from that. So I had a setback basically, and I'm back in the wheelchair again. And I'm still not taking medication. I still don't have to take medication. I actually don't have any inflammation in my muscles. It's just a matter of, re-strengthening them at this point. So anyway, about a year and a half ago, I discovered Dr.Morse on YouTube, and I started watching his videos and was really, really inspired about, his message. And I started taking his herbs. His herbal formulas are amazing. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. And so one of his remedies that he often tells people to do, no matter what the issue is to fast for 90 days or more on just grapes. He will say either eat them or juice them. Um, but he's like, grapes are really like a superfood. And, especially when you're trying to clean out your lymphatic system, which is what I'm trying to do to ensure that I don't have this issue anymore. That's what he tells people to do. So I'm like, well, I'm already used to fasting. I love grapes, and fresh grape juice is one of my favorites. So I'm pretty sure I can do this, no problem. 90 days on grape juice is no problem. So I started out drinking cranberry juice and real cranberry juice and cherry juice and occasionally pomegranate juice. The real good stuff from Trader Joe's. And I would drink a big cup of it about 3 times a day. Just because that's what I was obsessed with at the time, was drinking that. And I think I did that for about a month. It was great. I was detoxing hard. I had a lot of thyroid issues before, and that started to come up and clear out. It was pretty standard like the rest of my fast. I wasn't craving anything. I wasn't irritable. I still had plenty of energy. Besides the usual toxin symptoms, I felt fine. I felt great. After about a month, I got sick of the taste of, those strong acidic juices. They were really starting to annoy me. So I decided, well, I guess now I'll switch to grapes. So I switched to grapes, and I would drink about 3 quart-size containers of grape juice a day, along with a moderate amount of water. I've never really been a fan of water, so, I didn't drink a whole lot. And I continued to detox. When I first started the fast, I was having a lot of health issues, even beyond the muscle weakness. I was having, some pain with some problems with my eyes. My teeth had really gotten bad, and my gums were really inflamed and, starting to get discolored and everything. So I was mainly trying to clear up, this gum disease. So somewhere around a month and a half, I noticed that, I started out, my tongue was black. It's black and spotty and rough and, nasty. So somewhere around a month and a half, my tongue started to clear. Looking back, that should have been my clue to stop fasting. I think that was my body's way of saying that, it was done what it was going to do for right now. Me, being a perfectionist, well, not perfectionist, an extremist, I saw it as, well, man, you look at the results that I'm getting just after a month and a half. Imagine what I'll be like after 3 months. I'll probably be up running and jumping and stuff, so that just encouraged me to keep going. I was losing a good bit of weight, nothing too crazy, but I was losing weight. My energy was even better. I felt fine. I felt great. I wasn't really craving anything. A lot of the stuff was clearing up. Everything that I, was looking to have cleared up had cleared up. And so, we're going into the second month of fasting. I was starting to feel a little bit more tired every day, but it's still, still pretty normal, still functioning and everything like that. I was starting to kind of get sick of the grape juice a little bit, but I kept forcing myself to drink, just reminded myself of why I was doing it. And a little bit past the second month, I was starting to feel more tired. I wasn't drinking as much grape juice anymore because I was getting sick of the taste of grape juice. So I was down to maybe 2 quarts a day, and a little bit of water, like maybe 4 cups of water. Oh, and I was also doing a parasite cleanse, one of Dr. Morse's parasite cleanses. during this time. So, I was eliminating lots. I never did stop going to the bathroom. It was all kinds of creatures and stuff coming out of me, TMI, but so that also encouraged me to keep going because I saw, stuff being flushed out of me. So, um, somewhere around the middle of the second month, the parasite cleanse ended. But I noticed I was getting more and more tired, and I became obsessed with food. Like, obsessed. It's all I could think about. I started planning future meals that I could eat. I was just obsessed over food all day. So we're going through, the second month passes, and I'm feeling all proud of myself. Like, I'm writing on Facebook, like, how proud I am that I've made it this far. And, I'm like, yeah, this last month will be a piece of cake. The third month comes. For the first 2 weeks, I'm still drinking about a quart and a half of grape juice, a little bit of water. My energy is going down more and more. Like, I'm actually taking naps in the middle of the day now. I wasn't sleeping. I'm obsessing over food. Like, when I say hours of the day, like a good 6 to 8 hours I would spend either looking at pictures of food on Facebook or Pinterest. I would even go on Yelp for different restaurants that I knew and liked and just stare at pictures of their menu. Like, I would watch the Food Network all day long, just obsessing over food. It was like a way of visually eating. It made me feel full just watching it and planning, like, so someday I can eat that or whatever. And it's stuff that I don't even normally eat because when I'm not fasting, I eat a pretty much fruitarian diet. And I noticed at this point, I started to feel like I was drying out, if that makes any sense. My eyes began to dry out. It was beginning to get harder and harder to make tears, like the lubrication in my eyes. And I started to get this puffiness around right here. It got puffy and swollen. I didn't really think a whole lot about it. I've had eye issues for the past few years, so I don't know. I didn't really think much of it. But then I noticed that my mouth and my throat began to dry out. My lips kind of thinned a little bit, and they were chapped all the time. I don't know. I didn't think anything of it. And I also think that at this point in time, I was so sick, getting so sick that I wasn't thinking properly. So, from this point on in the story, what I tell you might sound kind of crazy and kind of like I did this on purpose, but you have to remember that when you're sick sometimes, you're not even thinking straight. Some of the decisions you make don't make any sense. And I think that is when I was kind of starting to get to that point. I started gagging all the time. And one of the main things that I was concentrating on detoxing was mucus. So when I started gagging up a lot of mucus, I definitely didn't think anything strange of it. I thought, okay, maybe I've reached another level of detox to where I'm actually spewing up mucus. But it wasn't coming out in the ways that I thought it would. I thought that it would come out in the toilet or through my nose, like I would blow it up. I had never heard of anybody actually like hawking up mucus. I still don't know if that's normal or not, but I just figured, well, maybe that's just the way that it's coming up for me. Maybe I have a lot in my chest or whatever. But it wasn't brown. It wasn't dark. It was white and clear, which was also strange to me. But I still just didn't think anything of it. I would keep a jar around every now and then so that when, I felt like I had to, you know, gag, I could just, spit it into the jar or something. So that was all going on. My energy levels are going down and down. I'm still obsessing over food. I'm really sick of grape juice at this point. So I basically stopped about 2 weeks into the third month, I stopped drinking any grape juice and I just went on to straight water. But like I said, I don't like water and I wasn't drinking a whole lot to begin with. So it really was just maybe 4 to 6 cups of water a day. And I was fine. I actually didn't want anything. It's not like I felt thirsty. I didn't want for anything. I could have dry fasted really for all I cared. It just kept getting worse. My throat began getting drier and drier. I had lost so much weight. My face was just gaunt. My eyes kind of looked like they were bulging out of my head. And I don't know. I just figured, oh, well, I'm losing weight. I guess that's just what I look like when I get thinner. I don't know. I didn't really think much of it. And my mom, I lived with my mother at the time, and she, was looking at me crazy. And she's kind of like, you don't look right. I think you need to end this fast. You don't look healthy. And she's telling me that like I look like a skeleton or Skeletor, I think she called me. Um, and I'm like, well, I only have 2 weeks left, whatever. Um, and I noticed that I stopped going to the bathroom as often. I would pee maybe once a day. And I stopped having frequent bowel movements like before. Before it was like 3 good bowel movements every day. And now it was like maybe once a day, maybe. And I figured, well, I'm not really taking anything in, so I guess it makes sense that there's not much to come out. Fast forward to the last week of the fast. I am feeling like absolute crap. I have zero energy. Like, I would wake up in the morning, take my pillows off the bed, and then move into the living room and just sleep on the side of the couch all day until like maybe 3 o'clock. And then I'd wake up, force myself to drink a little bit of water, and then go back to staring at pictures of food every day. I wasn't having any more bowel movements anymore at all. My mouth was so dried out and cracked that my lips hurt and my voice had actually changed because of how dried out my throat was. I sounded like it was like a high-pitched nasally type of sound. My eyes were still bulging out of my head. And I don't know, I didn't think anything of it still. I didn't have any pain in my kidneys. So I didn't think that I was having like a kidney infection or anything like that. I just figured, well, I'm not drinking much, so of course I'm not going to pee. I'm not going to be going very much, It'll be okay because the fast will be ending, at the end of this week. And once I start eating again, I figured everything would just come back normal. Forward to the day that I break the fast. It was the day after the first day of spring. So, and I remember it didn't go the way I wanted it to because my plan was to break it with soft fruits, like bananas and stuff like that, and then work my way up to harder fruits and some vegetables like salad, and then, slowly over the weeks introduce more complex foods back into my diet. But for some reason, I wasn't able to get the groceries that I needed in time or something. So I didn't have anything in my kitchen to eat except for crackers and applesauce. And I remember my mom and my aunt had actually went out shopping, grocery shopping that night. So they were gone, and I'm in the house by myself. And I had just come from the bathroom, and where I was trying to do something, but nothing came out. And I remember I I was feeling around my stomach and I couldn't feel anything. And I was like, so I stopped and I looked down and my stomach is bloated out like twice its size. And it feels like it's filled with fluid and bile. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. It just felt like every single thing that I wasn't excreting over the past 2 weeks had all backed up out of nowhere and just filled my stomach and my intestinal tract up. I felt backed up all the way up into my upper back. and I couldn't feel anything. Like I was numb from the waist down, completely numb. So I'm freaking out because I've never experienced anything like that before. And I call my mom and I'm telling her, and she's like, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" And I'm like, "No, I just need to poop. I just need to go to the bathroom." So, I'm like, I just got to eat something. So I go and I try to eat the applesauce, softest food in the world, and I can't even eat that. First of all, my taste buds are completely dried up and just gone. I can't taste anything. Everything tastes like cardboard or dust to me. Trying to eat the crackers was definitely like trying to eat rocks. I couldn't eat that at all. So I'm trying to drink, like, I think we had some coconut water. I'm trying to drink that, and even that tastes nasty to me. I couldn't eat or drink anything. So now I'm kind of freaking out because I'm like, wait a minute, if I can't even eat, and that's what I need to do to try to help get myself back into balance. But I just didn't know. So I think I gave up on that night. I said, well, tomorrow I'll try again. Once my mom came home with the fruits and vegetables that I needed. And the next day, I tried to eat an apple, I think. I couldn't taste anything. I couldn't even chew it, really. And, I'm just drinking coconut water. So I'm like, okay, well, clearly I'm just dehydrated. That's what I'm thinking, because I knew I hadn't been drinking enough water. So I'm like, I just need to just down coconut water, not even worry about trying to eat solid foods right now. Just drink coconut water, anything I can do to get rehydrated. So I'm drinking, bottles and bottles of coconut water every day. I'm drinking Gatorade. I tried to drink regular water, but I actually couldn't drink water anymore. No, how to explain it, but drinking regular water made me feel worse. Um, I've heard of that happening before at certain levels of dehydration to where you can't even handle water anymore. And I think that that's where I was, because the only thing that I could actually keep down was coconut water. And I was gagging so much at this time, like to the point where I couldn't even go from one end of the room to the other end without having to stop at least once and gag. Big balls of mucus, like balls of mucus, and then some of it would be pink. It's like looking at me like, oh my god, because I'm just throwing up everywhere. It was disgusting. So I would drink coconut water was the only thing that I could drink without gagging it right back up immediately. Um, so I'm drinking it down. Days are going by. I'm still not peeing. I'm still backed up. Like, it just feels like everything that I eat is just backing up on top of what's already in there. Um, my energy levels are just getting worse and worse. I'm sleeping all day. I'm starting to actually get physically weak. Some of the things that I was able to do independently, I couldn't even do anymore. Getting out of bed was difficult. Even going to the bathroom was beginning to get difficult again. And, I was just getting worse, but I'm still not really panicking. I mean, I knew that it was serious to not pee, but I'm still thinking all I got to do is just keep drinking, and then I can get this, I can go again. Eventually I have to go. Um, I thought that I had enough time and that I could get it under control myself. So about 2 weeks go by of me still not able to eat any solid food, not even one bite. Um, I told my best friend, one of my best friends is a nurse. So, I told her what was going on with me, and she's, of course, freaking out and telling me to go to the hospital. Because she was like, just drinking coconut water might not be enough. Your electrolytes are low. They all know what fluids to give you or whatever to bring you back into balance or whatever. And so I told her, well, I'm going to give it one more week of my way and see if I can get myself to start going. And then, if not, I'll think about it. But my mom was freaking out at this point. She was actually really pissed with me because to her, she could see how sick I was. And she kept telling me, go to the hospital. You need to go, at least go get checked out. You need to go somewhere, to the doctor, to the hospital, one of them. My mom is even more of a natural health freak than I am. So for her to tell me to go to the hospital is a big deal. Like, I'm stubborn when it comes to hospitals, but she's that times 10. So for her to be telling me you need to go to the hospital, like it was serious. She was like, you're killing yourself. You look like death. You need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, oh, she's just dramatic, whatever. She's just not used to me, being this thin because I had lost so much weight. Like I figured she just thought that I looked sick because I had lost so much weight, but she was like, no, like, and she tried to force me, but because of my age, they told her, she can't make me go to the hospital. Kind of got frustrated with me. She was really pissed. And I'm still, it's 3 weeks now after I've broken this fast. At this point, I'm hacking up blood. Like I'm actually throwing up chunks of solid stuff, and I'm throwing up blood. My energy is so low that I can hardly even stay awake long enough I'm sitting there at the table trying to just put something together to try and eat, and I can't even concentrate long enough without wanting to pass out or go to sleep. That is how bad I had gotten. Yeah, that's the best way to really describe it. It was just weak, really, really weak. And I don't know what it was. I was getting irritable too. I was like cursing everybody out. I don't remember what it was. This one day that I woke up, my mom was so pissed that she wasn't even speaking to me. And I had went into the kitchen and I was trying to fix a cup of tea or something like that. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even think about doing it. I was so exhausted. And then I just said, you know what? I give up. I said to my mom, well, it won't hurt to just go in the hospital and just see what they say. Like, finally, duh. So, she helps me get dressed, get me washed up and stuff and dressed. And we called 911. It was like late at night by the time we got everything together. She like packed me a bag and everything like that. And I'm like, they're not going to keep me over because I'm like, all it is dehydration. They'll probably like, hook me up to an IV drip for a couple of hours and then send me home. So we go to the ER and, I'm sitting up on the gurney and I'm like talking to everybody. I just remember I was like really euphoric feeling that day. I'm joking with everybody and like laughing and I'm telling everybody what I did. I'm like, yeah, I fasted for 90 days. I did it. And it's going to clear up this and this and all of this. And I'll never forget like the people, the nurses and the doctors and everybody are looking at me like they were looking at a ghost or something. Like they could not believe their eyes. So, my mom stayed for a little bit, but then she left because she had to go to work the next day. So, they do the blood work and run every test, all kinds of tests and stuff like that. And they eventually admit me a couple hours later. Like I actually stayed in the ER for a long time. So it wasn't until they admitted me into the ICU that like almost every doctor on that floor and some of the other nurses and staff, they all come into my room, at the same time. And I'm like, what's going on? Like we're about to have like this big meeting or whatever. And they all just look so concerned, so worried. And I'm still like, what is the big deal? I'm still kind of out of it. And the one attending physician, like the one who was actually in charge of the unit, he's talking to me or whatever, and they're kind of asking me questions about why I did the fast and the point of it was, and kind of just trying to see where my head was at. And I don't think I was making a lot of sense with what I was saying when I was talking. And so a few of them left, and the attending physician, he stayed, and he comes up to me and he's like, dead serious. He was like, you really, really did a number on yourself. I'm still thinking that my only problem was dehydration. I had no clue. So he's telling me all of the things that was wrong with me that I had did. He said that then my blood sugar was at 13. Now, before this whole experience, I didn't know anything about blood sugar. I've never had diabetes. Um, I didn't know what a normal range was or wasn't, so I had no clue. And now that I've learned, a normal range being somewhere between 50, anywhere between 50 and 200, I'm like, holy crap, like I was at 13. And that was the main reason that they were looking at me like I was a ghost, because they couldn't understand how I was not only um, alert, the fact that I wasn't in a diabetic coma or dead, but I was sitting up and talking and joking and everything. So my blood sugar was extremely, extremely low. Of course, I was severely dehydrated, severely malnutritioned. He said I was deficient in every single nutrient. Um, Zero protein stores left, so my body couldn't even begin to fight or to heal. Um, he said my blood count was extremely low, dangerously low. Um, and I had a blood clot in my right lung randomly. Mm. Oh, and I also had a massive, massive yeast infection in my entire pelvic region. Like, massive yeast infection. So much to the point that green, slimy stuff was coming out of my belly button. TMI, also, by the way, whatever. And it had actually eaten a hole through a part of my butt. Like, that's how full of yeast I was, and that it was trying to get out. Um, and then on top of that, I was also extremely constipated, backed up. I still had that bile, like the feeling, bloated feeling. And, he was just so emotional. He's telling me this, and he's just like, I understand where you were coming from. I juice. He was like, I have a juicer too. I know what it's like. Um, he was like, but instead of doing it the way you do it, he was like, he'll juice for breakfast, or he'll do like 2 meals of it juice, and then he'll still eat a solid meal of like a salad or something like that at dinner. But this man started crying in front of me. This man that I'd never met before. This doctor is like fighting back tears in front of me, and he's telling me how he has daughters my age, and how it's just, to think of one of them doing something like this to themselves is just killing him. Like, he actually had to leave the room. Like, he just straight up walked out of the room, like, mid-sentence. And it hit me. Like, I just couldn't believe all of that was going on with me, and for how long. And I kind of fell into a bit of depression at the time, because, after everything that I've been through with this disorder, and it's just like, I cannot, and I'm thinking that I'm doing something good for myself. I couldn't believe that I had screwed my body up this bad. I felt extremely guilty and extremely embarrassed, but I was in the ICU for 3 weeks, because that is how long it took for my blood sugar to regulate. Every single time they would try to take me off of the IV drip, the glucose drip or whatever, my blood sugar would drop. Not only that, but my blood count was extremely low. They wanted me to get a blood transfusion, but I'm extremely against blood transfusions. So I was trying to hold it off as much as possible, and I'm like, no, just give me time. Like, if I can eat and, get my strength up, I'm sure my blood count will come up. Like, no, I kept putting it off, basically, stalling them. And they kept trying to make me eat. And it's like, I felt guilty because, I didn't want to be, the first foods that I was eating be this like nasty hospital food and meat and all of this kind of stuff. Like, I wanted fruits and vegetables, but they wouldn't give me that, which was crazy. And what they would give me, I could not eat. I would take maybe 1 or 2 bites of food, and I would just feel so gross. Like the texture of it in my mouth and just the flavor, I couldn't taste anything. It all tasted like cardboard. So that was the main thing, was them trying to force me to eat and to get my blood sugar and my blood count back up. So after about 3 weeks, my blood sugar came up. It would still go in and out. I still had to be monitored every hour, but it was starting to come up to more stable levels. So they moved me down to medical unit, where I was for about a week, and then they moved me to um, a rehab facility. And by the time I went there, I still wasn't eating a whole lot. I was eating a little bit more, maybe 3, 4 bites of food, but I still wasn't eating a whole lot. My blood sugar was much better. My nutrients were beginning to come up a little bit, but because I wasn't really eating, it wasn't doing much. I was cold all the time because I was severely anemic. Obviously, like my iron levels were just completely gone. Um, so, between taking vitamins for that, and then eventually my appetite began picking up a little bit, and able to eat a little bit more over the weeks, about a month of being there. My appetite kind of started to pick up a little bit. And then, as a result, the levels started to come up as well. And so I was there for 3 months. I'm actually just recently coming home from there, but, you know, when I left, my blood sugar was completely fine. Actually, they stopped monitoring me as well because it was staying in normal ranges no matter what I eat. It doesn't go too high or too low anymore. My blood count is back up, not fully back up, but it is back to um, a safe level. Nutrients and everything is beginning to come back into order. I'm starting to feel like myself again. Definitely going to the bathroom again as well. I forgot to say. Somewhere around the first week of when I got to the rehab is when I started going to the bathroom regularly again. Because even the whole time I was in the hospital, I was not peeing often, and I definitely wasn't having any bowel movements. Now I'm home. I've actually been home for 2, 3 weeks now, and I'm starting to feel like myself again. Definitely going to the bathroom regular again. My blood sugar is fine. Energy levels are fine. My strength is coming back. And I started eating again, like really eating again. I began to put on weight again. I actually put back on about 50 pounds. And usually I would be depressed about that. Like, oh my God, I lost all that weight while fasting and now I'm putting it right back on. But it was a good kind of weight because, it signified that I was getting healthy again. So I didn't really worry about it too much. And now that I'm home and I'm more active again and stuff like that, it's starting to come back off again. Once I was able to kind of take a breath and like sit back and look at the situation, I was kind of pissed because I'm like, you know, what happened? How did something like this happen? Sound mind and reason with good intentions. How do you get to a place like that and not even know it or not even see it coming? That was what really tripped me up. So I called Dr. Morse's clinic and, I was like, I need to speak to somebody. I need some answers. And, I didn't talk to him, but I spoke to his partner, Marcy. And she did call me back, and we spoke for quite a while, actually. And I told her what happened to me and whatever. And even she was like, how are you alive right now? She was like, she said that the main problem, besides me doing a fast that long, unsupervised, was that I didn't drink water. She was like, the dehydration was the main thing that really screwed me up more than anything. But, she was saying that I should have been calling, when trouble first arose. And if I had a call to the clinic, they would have told me to break the fast. She told me what to do, what to take and what to eat and whatnot to help get my body back into balance. I felt a little bit better after I spoke to her. I definitely still believe in fasting. I'm not against fasting as a practice at all. I think it's great for teaching you self-discipline. I think it's excellent for healing and for detoxing, but you have to, you have to be smart about it and not be so reckless and extreme with it as I am. especially if you are someone who is not in perfect health, who has serious health issues like I do. It's not always so easy to just fast for, longer than 20 days. It's not necessarily healthy. Um, I think maybe somebody who is healthier and up and walking and stuff could probably do it okay. Um, but for myself, it was way too long. It was way, way, way too long. I should have ended it when my tongue cleared and I started wanting to eat food again, So I think it's a matter of listening to your body and, being patient with it. It's going to be a long time before I do it again, and I definitely would never do it that long again. But the point of this video and why I wanted to get this story out there is because when I was first doing my research and looking at other people who have done it, I've never seen anybody talk about the reverse side of fasting. And I doubt I'm the only one to go through this experience or to have a bad reaction to fasting. But if I am, if I'm not, nobody else is talking about it. It's only positive stories out there like, oh, I healed this, or I lost this much weight, or all everything's good. So you wouldn't think, seeing it like that, you would never think that something like this could happen as a result of fasting. I just want to have this out there so that if anybody is thinking about fasting for that long, they're aware of what could happen if you're not smart about it or you don't do it properly or, supervised or whatever. Making sure that you drink tons of water. I drink so much water now, because I used to think it was cute to say I don't like drinking water or I don't do water, but it's not cute. I've seen real dehydration, not just, oh, I'm a little thirsty. Like, I've seen what actual dehydration is, and it's not at all fun. That would be my main point, my main message to anybody who's thinking about doing it for that long. Definitely be under the supervision of a doctor if you don't want to do your medical doctor, because they probably will tell you not to do it anyway. But maybe a holistic doctor, a naturopathic doctor, make sure someone is watching over you. Definitely drink tons of water. And if you feel like your body is telling you it's time to break the fast, break it. Don't worry about whether or not you've met the goal you previously set for yourself. Listen to your body and, be smart about it, because it's been one hell of an experience. Definitely almost killed myself. At this point, I've actually kind of fallen back into a bit of a sad diet after this, just because I got used to eating regular food again. But my plan is to transition back into a raw vegan diet. I think I'm going to go in stages this time, unlike before where I just went cold turkey overnight. I'm going to start going vegetarian, and then from there to vegan, and then vegan into raw foods, and then back into a mainly fruitarian diet again. So I'm probably going to video that journey as well. So look forward to that. I might do another video about my whole experience with polymyositis, and just everything that I've been through over the past, 6-7 years. Yeah, so look out for those videos. I hope you got something out of the story. Sorry it was so long. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. And if anybody has any advice or even any more insight into what more possibly could have gone wrong, with what I did, that would be helpful. Feel free to leave a comment. Even though I think I pretty much have a good idea of what it was I did wrong. You never know. Somebody might see something else that you didn't. So feel free to comment. Yeah, bye.